Doya koro more. Toma vina ke dayalu Jagata samsare Patita pavana hetu Tava avatara Mosamapatita Prabhu Napai Beara Prabhu Beara Ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Boro Dukhi Doya Koroshita Pati Advaita Gosai Pati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Rupa Raghunatha Bhatta Yuga Shri Jiva Ham Prabhu Lokanatha Yuga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa Narottama Dasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Jagata samsare Tumabina kedayalu Jagata samsare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jagana Jaya Jagana Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Goranitai Jaya Goranitai Jaya Goranitai Jaya Goranitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Saraswata Shishimate Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Haribol and welcome to another Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Thank you very much for being here. Without you, there's no point of giving a lecture or speaking about Krishna. It's always nice to have association of the devotees, so please give me your blessings that we can understand something meaningful for our spiritual lives and be inspired. So today we're going to read more verses, not just this one. So together we will read this one in Bengali, yeah. And then further on, I don't know if I will read the Bengali, but maybe just translation, because it's a custom that we read until we come to a purport. So, yeah. Tanterame ye se sav. Sorry. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidanama. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidanama. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidanama. So, if you like to read. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidinama. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidinama. Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidinama. You want to try? Tanterame ye se savatmarama. Vidhi bhakta raga bhakta dui vidinama. Tante, in all those supreme personalities of Godhead, Ramen takes pleasure in devotional service. Yea, those persons who say Saba, all of them, Atmarama, are also known as Atmarama. Vidhi Bhakta, devotees following the regulative principles. Raga Bhakta, devotees following spontaneous love. Dui Vidanama, two different varieties. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And before I start, I will say the prayers because there will be a lot of reading. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prishta Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Guravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the translation of this verse is, one who always engages in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Atmarama. There are two types of Atmaramas. One is an Atmarama engaged in regulative devotional service, and the other is an Atmarama engaged in spontaneous devotional service. So before I continue, I would just like to say that the whole chapter is, as you know, about the explanations of Atmarama verse. So this is like 286th verse where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining to Sanatana Goswami because he wanted to hear, because he heard from before how Lord Chaitanya explained Atmarama verse to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 18 times, so he wanted to hear the explanations, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to explain even more. And so sometimes maybe for me it was, when I read it for the first time, I didn't even catch. It's quite philosophical also, because it's one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam who talks about persons who find satisfaction in themselves. And then the way Lord Chaitanya explains it, he gives like various meanings, always connecting it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also emphasizing how there are various types of Atmaramas. Basically, when you read all the verses, the conclusion is that everyone and everything is an Atmarama, because everything and everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. So even though some people are situated maybe in fruitive activities, they are considered to be karmis, or some people are impersonalists, or some souls are born in the form of the trees or the form of the animals. All these explanations point out that all of them essentially are Atmaramas, and especially if you put them in an association of pure devotees, they have a potential to become self-satisfied in this and devotees of the Lord. And actually the Atmarama, so the person who finds satisfaction in the self, is actually a devotee who renders pure devotional service. And what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here doing, he's classifying them in various ways. So one of the classifications of Atmaravans that he gives, and it's also an explanation of the verse itself, because he gives 61 explanation of Atmarama verse. So these are, I don't know which number we will see. So now there's a classification of two Atmaramas, which are engaged in regulative devotional service and which are engaged in spontaneous devotional service. One is called Vidhi Bhakta, so he's following the path of Vidhi Bhakti, which means that he doesn't have spontaneous love towards the Lord, so therefore he needs rules and regulations to regulate his mind, body, actions, and so on, so that one day he can get purified and that in his heart he can awaken love for Godhead. But the other one has spontaneous devotional service, which means that even without the rules and regulations, he would still feel the ecstasy and will still feel spontaneous attraction to the Lord, and he or she would serve him. But still, even though this is spontaneous, such a bhakta or devotee, he still follows the rules and regulations because he wants to give an example to others of how to perform devotional service. So this is a little bit about that verse. The next verse is text 287. I will not read the Bengali or Sanskrit sometimes. So it goes as follows. Both the Atmaramas engaged in regulative devotional service and those engaged in spontaneous devotional service are further categorized in 4 groups. They are the eternal associates, the associates who have become perfect by devotional service, and those who are practicing devotional service are called sadhakas, of whom there are 2 varieties. So the eternal associates are, for example, Mother Yashoda, Nanda, Maharaj, the gopis. So they're eternally associated with Krishna, pure devotees. The associates who have become perfect by devotional service, I don't know, we can, for example, give, I don't know, I cannot think of an example. Maybe you can, someone who has become perfect. Maybe Narada Muni, or it would be a good example. So, yeah, the story of Narada Muni maybe would be good. By association of the devotees, he became purified. In the end, he got a spiritual body and he became a transcendental spaceman. And then there are those who are practicing devotional service and are called sadhakas. So these are practically all the devotees who practice. Some are on lower stages, like they're at the beginning, and some are a little bit more advanced. But because they are performing sadhana, that means that's why they are called sadhakas. So the next verse is 288. Those who are practicing devotional service are either mature or immature. So these sadhakas in the previous verse, it was said that there are of two varieties. So these two varieties are mature or immature. So therefore the sadhakas are of two types. Since the devotees execute either regulative devotional service or spontaneous devotional service, and there are 4 groups within these 2 divisions, altogether there are 8 varieties. So again, a division. Next verse, text 289. By executing regulative devotional service, one is elevated to the platform of an eternal perfect associate, such as a servant, friend, superior, or beloved woman. Each of these is of 4 varieties. So if you practice regulative devotional service, you can become a servant of Krishna in Vaikuntha, or probably, in Vaikuntha. You can become his friend, you can become his superior, like maybe some kind of a relative, and you can become a beloved woman. In that relationships there are, for example, no, I cannot say the queens, but what I do know that is the regulative devotional service leads to Vaikuntha, not to Golokadam, so let's just keep it there. So then text 290. Among these, those who have perfected themselves by devotional service, there are servants, friends, superiors, and beloved damsels. Similarly, there are 4 types of mature devotees. So now he's talking about devotees in Golokadam. Text 291. Within the category of regulative devotional service, there are also immature devotees. So far he has listed the mature ones, and now he's mentioning the immature devotees. Those are also of 4 varieties. Thus, in regulative devotional service, there are altogether 16 varieties. So when he classifies like this, what he's actually also saying is that these are also types of Atmaramas. Text 292. On the path of spontaneous devotional service, there are also 16 categories of devotees. Thus, there are 32 types of Atmaramas enjoying the Supreme Lord on these 2 paths. Text 293. When these 32 types of devotees are qualified with the words Muni, Niragranta, Cha, and Api, the meanings can be increased in different ways and very soundly elaborated upon. So just to pause here. So the Atmarama verse contains 11 words, and one of those words are the ones that are mentioned here. And so you know that in Sanskrit, various words have various meanings. And when you add cha and api to that, it also gives more meanings. And after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finishes the whole explanation of Atmarama verse, he will glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. And Atmarama verse is also part of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he will conclude how there's no difference between Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna, because Srimad Bhagavatam is a literally incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, if there is an equality amongst them because they're non-different, and Lord Krishna is unlimited, therefore there are unlimited explanations of each word in Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, he could go on and explaining the Atmarama verse, but he just stops. But just that you know that that's how he like plays with these words, and in this play he finds a new meaning and then gives another explanation that is somehow connected to Krishna. And why does he do that? Because he wants us to see that actually everything is connected to Krishna in this world. Text 294. When we add the 26 types of devotees to these 32, they altogether number 58. You may now hear from me of further manifestations of meanings. Text 295. In this way, as I add the word cha to one word after another, I make a compound. Thus the different names of Atmaramas can be taken 58 times. Text 296. In this way, one can repeat the word Atmarama with cha for each of the 58 meanings. By following the rule previously stated and rejecting all but the last, we retain that which represents all the meanings. Text 297. Of words having the same form and case determination, the last one is the only one retained. So this is a quotation from Panini Sutras. This is something about Sanskrit that I really don't know, so I will not comment on that. Just read and listen. Text 298. When all the chakaras, or additions of the word cha, are taken away, 58 different meanings can still be understood by the one word Atmarama. So you can see how he plays with words and always says that there is more meaning to it. Text 299. By the plural word vrikshaha, which means trees, all trees, such as banyan tree, fig trees, kapita trees, and mango trees, are indicated. The next verse, 300. The Atmarama verse is like the sentence. In this forest, many different trees bear fruit. All Atmaramas render devotional service to the Lord. So what this basically means is that even though there are so many trees in the forest, and all these trees are very much different, you can classify them. If you say a tree, you classify all of them, right? So all of them, what they have in common is that they are trees, right? So when you refer to them as a tree, when you say a tree, you actually refer to all of them. It's a little bit philosophical. So in the same sense, there are various kinds of Atmaramas, but if we can also classify them with one word, which is Atmarama. So therefore, when we say Atmarama, we mean all of them. So that's basically what he's saying. So text 301. After uttering the word Atmaramaha 58 times and taking cha in sense of aggregation, one may add the word Munyaha. That will mean that great sages also render devotional service to Lord Krishna. In this way, there are 59 meanings. Text 302. Taking the word Nigrahantaha and considering api in the sense of sustenance, I have tried to explain 59th meaning of the verse. Text 303. Taking all words together, there is another meaning. Whether one is an Atmarama, a great sage, or Nigrantaha, everyone must engage in the service of the Lord. And here we have a purport. The word Sarva Samuchaya is significant here. It includes all classes of men, Atmaramas, Munis, and Nirgrantas. Everyone must engage in the service of the Lord. Taking the word api in the sense of ascertainment, there are altogether 60 different meanings. And further on he will give another one. But here we will stop. But just to explain, so as I said, what he's doing all the time, and he's just giving meaning to the names that are in the Atmarama verse. And as it was indicated here in the previous verse, Munyaha means those who are sages. And it can mean many things. Those who are great thinkers are called Munis. Sometimes the word Muni is applied to a person who is very grave. It applies usually to great sages, great austere persons, great mystics, and learned scholars. They're all called Munis. And so he gives a lot of classification, even of them. And he always says like that, okay, there are persons who meditate on Brahman, there are yogis who meditate on Vishnu in the heart or on something impersonal. There are this people, that people. He then mentions Nigranta people. So one of the meanings of the word is that it means one who has no connection with spiritual injunctions. So it could be confusing, like, why is he comparing an Atmarama who is self-satisfied, he should be spiritually realized, with someone who has no connection with spiritual injunctions? So the the reason, so it also indicates the person who is poor and bereft of all riches. So all these words, as I said already, they have many meanings. So when you read them according to explanations of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I think that you have to read the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and Chaitanya Charitamrita maybe to grasp it a little bit more in the meaning of all those words. But the point of it all is that Lord Chaitanya just wants to show us that if you give anyone an association of a pure devotee, this person, whether it's a human being or an animal, will become a pure devotee. And he manifested all this in his life by his example, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a pure devotee. The reason why he took all these pilgrimages throughout the India was that he would give association to other people, and that by seeing him, these other people would become pure devotees. And that's what happened. Wherever he went, he would chant the holy name of the Lord, and everyone got like enchanted by him, and in some way or another became a devotee. And even impersonalists. So we know that even though they were criticizing him because they thought of him as some sentimentalist who was just chanting the Mahamantra, he bewildered them by manifesting his Brahmajyoti effulgence, and they became attractive to him, and they started to listen to him. And therefore, he convinced them by his association to become devotees. And these impersonalists, they became devotees. The third example is of animals. I always forget the name of the forest. Jarikanda forest, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing by, and all the animals there started to chant and dance with him. So there's also an example of how the association of a pure devotee can liberate even the animals and the plants. And Srila Prabhupada very often spoke of that as well, because he would chant to the animals, as I remember, like in ants and spiders that he had in his room, probably other animals, but cannot remember at the moment. Also, he took care of the trees, not only the trees in the holy land of Vrindavan, but also everywhere he went, because he understood that they're all part and parcels of Krishna. And he would say very often in his lectures that if we chant the holy name loudly, everyone will benefit. So not only the humans, but also the plants, the animals, and there are many also examples in the Shastras, how even personalities in animal body, they attain liberation just by chanting or hearing the chanting of the holy name, or eating prasadam, or I don't know, doing something. So we can see what is the potency. So therefore, this verse also can teach us humility in a way, because, and also it can give us a push for the preaching throughout the world, because everyone has a potential to become a devotee of Krishna. And the only thing that they're actually lacking in their life, in whatever position they are, it doesn't matter where they are. They can be, at the moment, an alcoholic, or a drug. They can use drugs, or I don't know, whatever. They can be even mad. They can be very poor. They can be very distressed, whatever. But if they somehow get an association of a pure devotee of the Lord, they will get a benefit. And this association of a pure devotee of the Lord is given to everyone through the books of Srila Prabhupada. And that's why he also wrote those books. And he said that even one word or one sentence, if they read, they will be eternally benefited. So that's why also when we approach devotees in book distribution, not devotees but ordinary people in book distribution, we want them to touch the book, because it's transcendental effect of the book itself, and by touching the book they also get an association. So little by little, many people, they bought books like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and many others, but I specifically mentioned them because Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are non-different from Krishna. So therefore they have this transcendental potency. And sometimes people would buy books and they would sit on the shelves for years. But since it's not different from Krishna, in a way the books are the deity of Krishna. And we know from the scriptures that the influence of the deities is, 16 kilometers in radius of where the deity is installed. So it has some kind of an effect. So we also, like my husband, his mom, she bought some books of Prabhupada, but then later on he realized that actually he has them at home after he became a devotee. So all these things, they work in this way. So in that sense, it teaches us also humility, as I said, because we have to understand that just because we are practicing devotional service, we're not better than others. We just are more fortunate at the moment because we can be engaged, and we should be compassionate enough to understand that in the same sense that we had the potential to become devotees and to render devotional service to the Lord and serve other devotees, in the same sense other people in this world, even animals and the trees, they have the same potential to do it, like one day. So in that sense, it's very nice meditation. It also indicates the verse in the Bhagavad Gita where we should have an equal vision of others, because that potential of other people or other souls rendering devotional service to Krishna comes from the equal vision of everyone, in the sense that we understand that there is a Paramatma, of course, in everyone's heart, but there is also soul in everyone's heart, and that we should approach people and try to approach people from this level where actually the body that we see is just their karma at that moment. I mean, it's a manifested karma. So your bodies now are your manifested karma, my body is my manifested karma. So that is what we see, but actually this is not who these personalities are. They're actually like pure souls, and they have the potential to render devotional service to the Supreme. So this is all I actually had about this verse, because it's quite philosophically difficult to explain. I had some points that that devotional service is not actually limited by anything, so anyone can have it. It all depends on the desire, but how the desire is developed by association. So that's why the devotees of the Lord are so compassionate that they go into the world and they try to give this their association to others so that others can become inspired. So anyone, even the animals, the trees, the outcasts, as they would say, they can become Atmaramas, and they already are, in a way, Atmaramas. The only link that is missing is the association of the devotees and their involvement in the devotional service. So what actually separates them from becoming Atmaramas in the true sense is just time. So, but they all have it, and all will one day come to that point. So we could, because of the first verse that we read, maybe we can just ask ourselves, and I will repeat that we were mentioning the Vidhi Bhakta and the Raga Bhakta. So 2 ways of rendering devotional service to the Lord. So for all of you, maybe it would be a good introspection to see how much I do things with love and how much I do things with duty. It's not a bad thing to do things out of duty. It's a good thing, because by this we are following the instructions of the spiritual master and we are purifying ourselves. But just like an introspection of motivation that we have for our service. So actually it should be, our motivation should be out of attraction towards Krishna, that we do something. Because I think for all of us, the goal is that one day we render spontaneous devotional service to the Lord. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Shishi Gauranitai Ki Jai. So we always have an opportunity to practice, and then, like for example, anyone can serve the deity. You don't have to be a pujari or anything, but whatever you do in the temple, actually you're serving the deities, and even outside of the temple, it can be also seen as a service to the deities. And even if you have deities at home, it is considered that they are actually the expansions of the deity in the temple. So whatever we do, we serve the deity. So even when you cook at home and you offer it to the picture, you're actually serving the main deities that are installed in your country or in your city and so on. So I'm just saying that by this we can always reflect. We have an opportunity, and Krishna gave that opportunity. Krishna actually manifests himself in various ways. So through the books, through the mantra, which is the most subtle manifestation of Krishna, which we cannot perceive, but we can perceive him in the form of the deity. So the scriptures say that Krishna in the form of the deity is non-different from Krishna in the spiritual world, which actually means that what we see now in front of ourselves is Sachitananda Vigraha, the form, the perfect, blissful, eternal, and all-knowing form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is an opportunity for us to develop a relationship with Krishna, and also to see in our hearts, with following rules and regulations, how much real attraction is there. So we should just remember that even though some devotees have a spontaneous devotional service towards the Lord, they still follow the rules, because we need to teach others like how to behave in a certain way or how to approach the deity and so on. So, but this introspection is very good, because actually bhakti means love, bhakti means emotions, so we need to nourish the emotion, right? So that's why you need to retrospect on that in that sense. Yeah. And how do we get there? By chanting without offenses, associating with pure devotees to be spontaneous, and hearing and serving with sincerity. Yeah. So that's all I had prepared. Do you have any maybe questions or comments? Yes. You can take the microphone so that people can hear you online.
Hare Krishna. And thank you for your lecture. I have two questions. One is related to Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti, and the other one is the association of devotees. And my first question is, sometimes when we speak about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti, I'm thinking that, yeah, of course, we know that we should practice this spontaneous service, and I think everyone has these moments where they just want to do something for Krishna, otherwise it wouldn't last long. But then, to what extent should we practice Raga Bhakti, and is it that like you can practice Raga Bhakti whenever you're alone, and whenever you're seen you have to practice Vaidhi Bhakti, or is it that you practice Raga Bhakti internally only?
Internally. You practice it internally. I mean, as I understood it from what I've read and some very minute experience of something that I have, but first I will say as I understood it. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is a perfect example of how the devotees practiced Raganuga Bhakti, because they were all sadhakas. We are all sadhakas. So that's why it's very nice to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, because by this you can see how the devotees actually live, how do they associate, and so on. So all of them follow some kind of rules and regulations, especially in their relationship outside, I don't know, towards the deity, or, they follow Ekadashi, they bathe 3 times a day, they wear this kind of clothes, they wear tilak. So these external stuff, they're also, in a way, rules and regulations. They accept a spiritual master and so on. But they also have this raga and emotion and internal relationship with Krishna. So we know that, for example, the 6 Goswamis, they're manjaris. So you can see that there is a difference between the external activities of what Goswamis performed and their internal life. Internal life is in a way manifested in their books, but we should understand, and also from the preachings of senior devotees and various acharyas, we can see that whatever they did perform, even when they would write the books, they would, fall into their ecstasies. So this internal meditation is where they would manifest Raganuga Bhakti, because, for example, Raghunath Das Goswami, he wrote, I forgot the name of the Kusumajali. But in this, I can't remember now. Yeah. So here he manifested, he wrote a book in where he actually explained his meditation on his service to Srimati Radharani. So that's raga in a way, like a manifestation of the emotions. And we can see that by the lives that they led, they had this spontaneous attraction towards Krishna by the way they lived their lives. Like Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they left everything just to become, austere mendicants who were just serving Krishna. So all these external indications they imply that there is something internally happening. So all of us, we have some kind of a relationship with Krishna, which will develop through time. And it is said that Shiksha Gurus, they can give us further instructions, even the Diksha Guru, but the Shiksha Gurus mostly give instructions of, if you want, how to pursue more the Raganuga path. But also what I understood from what I've heard from senior devotees, it is about the taste you develop in hearing. So you will see your tastes in some kind of raga or emotion towards Krishna into what attracts you of literature that you read. And this is like a first step towards it, that you read about these things. But every one of us, we start from the beginning in a way. Of course, there are people who are more advanced than us, because in previous lives maybe they finished something, so for them it's maybe easier to develop some tastes and things like that. But you can see through the lives of the devotees, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he manifested his raga in Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, in a room which was secluded from everyone, and where he had association only of his intimate associates, and where he manifested all these emotions. So we can say that raga is quite private and intimate. And also Sachinandana Swami says that these intimate things that we have, relationship that we have with Krishna or some kind of realizations, we should not so much share it with the public, but keep it with ourselves, and also maybe with very close people with whom we have the same mindset, because other people won't understand. And then let's say that the magic that you felt in your relationship with Krishna can be gone just because you speak with someone who doesn't understand it. That was my experience. I shared something that for me was like, wow, with someone who totally didn't get it, and then I even doubted myself, and then you start questioning, like, are you imagining things and things like that. So that's why it's a complicated, actually, answer, and it also, the answer develops on who you ask, yes. So everyone can speak about this from their own understanding. So, yeah, so maybe some senior devotees would give maybe a better answer or something. So that's about that. And the other question was, if you can repeat.
Yeah, exactly. About the association of devotees, and when whoever is associating with pure devotee, he actually can become a pure devotee himself. But also we of course hear that if you're getting in association with a pure devotee, then you can make offenses easily also, and it destroys everything. So maybe you can elaborate on the term of association and what it actually means to have association, because you can also be together with a devotee and mess up your life completely.
Yeah. So service to the devotee, like especially if the devotee is senior to you, you serve him. And that's how you build up a relationship. And there are 6 loving exchanges between the devotees. So you exchange gifts, like an expression of love. You open your mind and to a person, or this person opens a mind to you. But usually, if you are senior-junior relationships, you are the one who opens the mind. And you give prasadam and you take prasadam. So this is a loving exchange by which you develop a relationship. And how do you associate with other devotees? Like what we do every day together. That we talk about Krishna. So that's how the devotees actually associate. And the examples of such association are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, especially, where there are many dialogues between the devotees. So, and usually it's given as an example for us. So there's always someone who approaches some senior pure devotee and asks for an association. And how does that association look like? Usually, because also this asking questions and receiving answers is also an exchange of love and service in a way. Asking questions can be also considered to be a service. Because you allow this person to speak, like for example, Maharaj Parikshit was inspiring Shukadeva Goswami to speak Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of others, and Maharaj Parikshit also in a way served others by asking these questions because many devotees were assembled there. But it's through hearing, so the transcendental subjects are very subtle. We cannot understand them by our own senses. Krishna we cannot see or understand with our senses, so we can only maybe grasp it by hearing. And also by hearing we develop the taste, and only by hearing we gain this purification from the association of a pure devotee. It's not like that there is a story of a potency of a pure devotee, so it's not only like association like this, like hearing, but when Srila Prabhupada was on a plane, and I forgot with whom he was, but they were eating prasadam. I think this Shrutakirti Prabhu, right? So this lady who ate prasadam from Srila Prabhupada, she became a devotee. So there are many ways that are maybe in a way magical, and also like association with the book. Because my spiritual master, when someone asks him when he met Srila Prabhupada, he says that he met him in Washington, D.C., in a bookstore, on a bookshelf, because it was a Bhagavad Gita, and he can also hear Srila Prabhupada speaking through other devotees, like especially his godbrothers. That's why he likes to associate so much with his godbrothers, because for him they manifest Srila Prabhupada. So there are various ways how the pure devotee manifests in someone's life, but the main thing is through devotional activities we associate with devotees. So we serve together. That's like the first thing. And actually, that's the main thing. We are all servants. And I think recently I gave a lecture where I said that even though Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, he serves everyone. But the best example of the greatest servant is Lord Balaram, who is the first expansion of Krishna, because he's everything. He maintains the spiritual world. He maintains the material worlds. Everything that is an expansion of Krishna is actually expansion from him. He's also a chair, a bed, an umbrella, slippers of, I don't know, whatever he is, many things of Lord Krishna. So he's always constantly serving. So we can see that the principle in a relationship with a pure devotee is service. And even the spiritual master, you cannot associate with him like he's your buddy, or he's your daddy, or he's your mother, or whatever. You're in a relationship where you serve him. And as long as you serve him, you have a relationship with him. When you want to enjoy him, that's not good. In the sense of like, I want him for something that's for me, So you have some need that you want to fulfill. I'm just saying that. So yeah, we should serve each other, and then we advance, and that's how we have this association of the devotees. Yeah, yeah. That's because actually people listen.
You mentioned that this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita is very technical, and then that you recommended to read together teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and then this Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is actually more elaborate than teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, why did you recommend to read both?
Because I read both and then I felt like I understood it more. I just understood it more, like the explanations of the words, because you get lost. And also, like in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, there is a text, so it's a nice text that you read. And here you're always like going through the pages with the verses. So you actually always forget what you. I mean, that's my brain works like that. So it forgets a little bit what was 10 verses before, and especially if there's some kind of a purport, then. So you don't have a consistency, let's say it like maybe sometimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so it's nice to read a little bit of summary, which teachings of Lord Chaitanya are, and then you go here and then everything falls in place a little bit better. So that's the only reason. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So maybe someone can tell devotees that we stopped. So the next verse is 304. So that, I mean, you can go again to these verses if you want to, but this is where we stop.